Hey, I'm Scott and welcome back to the channel and my very humble garage gym. So today I wanted to kind of discuss my journey as a golfer and give you some insights of how you might be able to make improvements to your game based on some of the things that I went through. And let's just go ahead and go from there. So I started playing at a pretty young age. I think I was about 9 when I first had some golf lessons. I remember getting some group lessons at a nearby driving range when I was in Pennsylvania. I lived in Pennsylvania for most of my life and moved down to here to Maryland about 10, 11 years ago. Anyhow, so I didn't really start playing a lot of golf until I was 12. And that summer I played every day as much as I could. Prior to that, I was playing baseball and I was a swimmer as well. And I continued to swim competitively until the end of high school. But that summer when I was 12 is when I really started to play a lot of golf, and I started playing my first competition, and it just kind of went from there. So by the time I finished high school, I had earned myself a scholarship to play at William and Mary. Didn't do much in the college golf scene because I was too much of a goofball, but when I was 19, so just after my freshman year, I did make it through to sectional qualifying for the US Open. Back then, the first round of qualifying, you had to play 36 holes. I think they've reduced that to 18 holes for local qualifying these days. But back then, it was 36 holes for local and then 36 holes for the sectional. And the highlight of that was that I was paired with Chip Beck, and he did not make it through sectional qualifying that year, but the next year he finished second at Shinnecock to Ray Floyd, so that was pretty cool that he did that. And then I think he shot a 59 maybe the next season after that. So the peak of my golf game was really, I always say 1988 was my best year. 1989 was pretty good as well, but 1988 is when I had everything going. I was hitting the ball well, I was putting well and all that. And then in the spring of 1989, I started to develop the yips. I still played pretty good golf that season, but I couldn't make any putts, short putts. I was fine over long putts because there was no expectation that I would make them, but the short putts were just giving me fits. That continued, and eventually by 1991, my whole game was pretty much a mess, and my priorities in life had changed. I had met the woman who became my first wife, and so I took a good solid 3 or 4 years off from playing much golf at all. I might play once or twice a year at that point or whatever. But so then in the mid 90s, I got back to playing golf, and I got my game almost to the same level as I was in. I basically got it back to the 1989 level. I was hitting the ball great, but I could not putt. I still had the yips with my putting, so that was frustrating. And I did notice that at times my swing just would kind of fall apart, and I had a big two-way miss back then. Lots of misses to the left and then lots of misses to the right. And I had no clue why. So then we had some kids, and then so priorities changed again, and I took time off from playing much golf. And then sometime around 2004, a client of mine asked me to play in a tournament, a best ball tournament. And he wasn't that great a golfer, but I figured that, you know, what the hell, I'll go play. And so I tried to practice a little bit before that because I hadn't been playing hardly any golf up to that point for a few years. Long story short, it was a disaster. I played 3 straight rounds, and if I would have had to count my ball for all three rounds, I don't think I would have broken 90. And the last round was the worst. I remember one hole, a par 4, that I always just would lay up with a 2-iron, where I hit a ball so far to the left with the 2-iron after I had hit one out of bounds to the right. And it was just, you could literally drive an entire army through those missed shots. They were so far apart, and I was just absolutely clueless. So I gave up golf for good again for another 4 or 5 years. And then at the end of 2008, for some reason, I got it in my head that maybe I'd want to teach golf, because that would be something that I could do into my old age. I didn't really enjoy the business I was in back then, and I continue to be in now. So I've always been looking for sort of an alternative source of income. But so I decided I'd teach golf. Even though I was pretty much clueless, I didn't about my own game, and I didn't know really how to teach at all. But I found out that Hank Haney would put on an annual teaching seminar at his facility down in Dallas, and he was still coaching Tiger Woods at the time. So I traveled down to Dallas to the Haney Golf Ranch in February 2009. And ahead of that, I reached out to one of the instructors there, and I met with him on the driving range the day before the seminar was to start. And I had indicated to him I thought I had the full swing yip. Hank was known for curing himself of the full swing yip. So, and then he was noted for helping some tour players deal with the putting yips as well. So I reached out to Doug Alexander. He's still teaching down in Dallas, so if you're down that way, give him a shout. And I got under the range with Doug, and he basically said, no, you don't have the full swing yip. You just, you know, your swing's just out of whack, and here's what you need to work on. So that was helpful. And then the seminar started on Saturday. And we watched Hank work with several golfers of varying ability. Most of them were dealing with fighting a slice. So he could get them hitting a draw within just a few minutes, and that was something that I took with me, and I've been able to do the same thing because it's just a basic routine that you can put particular golfers through to get them to hit a draw. So then we had a little bit of a break, and during our break, we all basically went to the range and hit some balls. And while we were doing that, they had someone going up and down the range filming our swings. So after the break, we went back inside to start the seminar back up. And what Hank wanted to do now was work with somebody that had a similar swing flaw as Tiger Woods. Tiger was known for getting stuck behind him, getting the club stuck, and so he would develop that two-way miss. Well, that somebody turned out to be me. As we were sitting there waiting for the session to begin, a guy I met who's a good teacher by the name of Brian Jacobs, he gave me a little nudge with the elbow and said, hey, Hank's looking at your swing up on that video screen over there. And I said, oh boy. So as it turned out, I got a hands-on lesson from Hank in front of the other 50 teaching pros that were in attendance. I should point out that one of the attendees was Martin Hall, who was just starting out his long tenure on the Golf Channel. And I remember asking Martin why he was there, because I knew of him. And he said, well, if he's good enough to teach Tiger Woods or coach Tiger Woods, then there must be something I can learn from him. So the bottom line there is you can't ever stop learning with this game. So I was a nervous wreck. Hank put me through the motions, and we identified my primary swing flaw, which I'll get to in another portion of this video, and how we solved that issue. And I took that information from that seminar, along with everything else I learned. I took it back home, and that summer I didn't get to play a lot of golf, but the game became a lot easier again. And over time, what I've learned is I don't need to play a lot of golf to attain that decent level of playing. I literally now haven't played since 2018, so next year I intend to get back to playing as much as I can. I turn 60 next year, so I'm really trying to make it a priority, and my goal is to take you viewers along that journey as well. So the other thing I learned from the seminar was how to cure my yips, and so I'm going to cover that in this video as well, real briefly. So take a pause here, and then we're going to go, well, we're not going anywhere, but I'm just going to grab a club, change this camera angle, and show you what I learned about my swing and how I've gone about fixing it based on what Hank taught me, and what I do to get my swing back if I've taken a long time off from playing and practicing, and how I get it back if it's going a little out of kilter when I am playing a little bit more. All right, so we'll see you in that part of the video. Okay, so if you've ever watched any PGA Tour events, they usually have someone in the booth who knows a little bit about the golf swing. And back in the day, you might have heard a comment, especially in regard to Tiger, that he might have gotten stuck in the downswing, and that's why he might have hit a hook or a block, usually the block. So the one thing Hank said that Tiger feared the most was hitting a hook off the tee, especially if there was trouble left. So when he played, he would, if there was trouble left, Tiger's fairway would not actually be the middle of the fairway facing him. His fairway would actually be to the right of that, where he knew that he could extricate himself from trouble that might be over there. He would always play away. If there was OB left or water left, he would do his best to avoid hitting over there. Anyhow, I digress. So when Hank was analyzing the video of my swing, what we noticed was that in the downswing, when I was basically here in the downswing, the club was pointed back behind me in that direction. So ideally, when the club is parallel to the ground, it should be parallel to your target line. So if it's pointed off that way, that means you're attacking the ball from too far inside. So as a result of that, your timing has to be really good to get that club squared back up to your target line and with your swing path. So what can happen is if you don't release it in time, you're going to hit that big block. I would hit big push slices back in the day, or you could hit a big pull hook if you release the club too soon. So in that half-hour lesson, Hank really focused a lot of attention on my takeaway. He was trying to get my takeaway back in a proper position going back. I have a tendency, I pull the club back inside too far on my takeaway. The most important thing that he demonstrated to me was to try and get the feel of my hands in front of my chest on the downswing. So, and then the other tendency I have is in my swing that continues to this day is I don't have a lot of hip flexibility, so my shoulders take over. I've always had a good ability to turn my shoulders in the golf swing, so they can dominate the swing. I don't come over top, but I turn them too quickly, and that causes that club to trail behind me. So that's something that I've got to think about now and then when I start really hitting those blocks and those hooks. So that was that important takeaway that I took from that seminar for my golf swing. So to this day, what I do then, and I repeat this a lot, is when I go to the driving range for the first couple sessions after a good bit of time off, I just take a wedge and I hit a bucket of balls with a wedge, and I just start going with that 9-3 swing that I talk about. So my left arm is parallel to the ground. I stop it there in the backswing, and then on the way through, I stop at the 3 o'clock position with my right hand. So if you're a lefty, then it would be the opposite. And I just do a bunch of half-speed swings with that half swing, just making sure I'm making good contact with the ball. It's going in the direction I want, and then I focus on distance control. And then I just work on speeding up the swing with that half swing to make sure that I'm making good contact, and then on up through making a full swing with that wedge. So that's what I do for the first couple sessions, and then I'll start working up through the bag after that. Now, as far as the yips go, I wasn't diagnosed specifically with what was causing my yip, so I experimented. Hank has worked with Mark O'Meara for many years, and O'Meara developed the yips at some point. And so what Hank did with him was get him to hold the club with his right hand with this saw grip. So he'd have the left hand on normal, because they determined that the yip was in his right hand, and then he just gripped the club, the putter, with that saw grip, and worked from there. And you've seen a lot of golfers do that ever since. Phil Mickelson is one that has adopted a version of that grip. So what I went with was more of what they call kind of a pencil grip. I just put the left hand on the putter that way, and then I'd kind of let my forefinger drop down the shaft, and I'd have the thumb underneath, forefinger there, and then the inside of my middle finger would be touching the putter as well. I preferred that grip over the saw grip because it seemed like I had a little bit better touch on the greens, especially on the longer putts. But right away, the yips went away, and so I was able to make those short putts once again. And I'll never forget, when I was playing in 2009, a friend of mine from high school went out to play with me one time, and the first few holes I just tried to putt with a normal grip, and he noticed how I was flinching in that stroke, and then I changed the grip, and that flinch was gone. So that's how I dealt with dealing with my yips. And if you have an issue with your yips, then perhaps that's something you can also give a try. I was never comfortable trying to go with the long putter. I even tried putting one-handed now and then. I tried putting left-handed, but I just felt like once I learned how to work on changing that grip a little bit, it worked just fine. So, okay, so thanks for watching this video. I hope you check out my website, scottcolegolf.com, and sign up for my newsletter. I'm sending out all the best content that I have for free through that newsletter to help golfers get better at this game and improve without having to pay a fortune. And eventually, if you need a little bit of help from me, you'll have that option as well. So check that out. If you enjoyed this video, also please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and that would be greatly helpful as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road.